They challenged the Tevinter Imperium. Our ancestor, Shatan,
you have to kind of ignore it, slap it as slap.
And when the rebellion came to an end, we were given a new homeland in the west, the Dales. We began to rebuild the culture and history we had lost in our years of slavery. We worshipped the creators and made the Dales our home. Perhaps you know what happened next, stranger. Do you know what happened to the Dales? Indeed. They resented that we would not worship their maker, and they resented our ways because they were so different from their own. The Shemlin nations grew cold towards the Dales. They called us blasphemers and tyrants, and declared war upon us, a great crusade. Told by whom? A history that has been dictated by the victors, no doubt. Oh, I am certain we played a part in our downfall. We believed that the Shemlin would not revoke their prophet's gift so lightly. We were wrong. They took our lands, forcing us to abandon our gods and live as beggars in Shemlin cities.
You should have fought. You should have fought to the last of you. Better that than to submit.
Oh? Is it not the Kunari way to force others to submit? Surely that would not be your advice to my people, were they attacked by the mighty Kunari.
That would be different. The Kunari would improve your people. The humans have improved nothing.
Perhaps. Even so, many of us did fight. We fought, and we lost. But there were those of us who refused to abandon our ways. They emblazoned the symbols of the creators upon their flesh, and vowed to keep their ancient lore alive.
That's us! That's the Dalish!
Indeed, child. We chose to wander, homeless, rather than be ruled by the Shemlin. And all our clans wander alone until the day we have a homeland once more.
And we bring the old ways back to our people, because they have forgotten it all.
For we are the Dalish, the keepers of the lost lore.
The walkers of the lonely path.
We are the Elvenan, and never again shall we submit. And that is the tale of the Dales, stranger. Thank you for allowing us to tell it to you.
So I don't know how interesting that is, but that is one of the ways we sort of try to tell the player about Dales. There we go. Trying to, for the player who's going to take that option, it's optional, we aren't going to force them. Some players are just going to be interested in action. This is one way that for the player who takes the time to go to that storyteller and hear about the Dalish, he's going to start to learn more about them, start to care about them a little more. Just going through, I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to just flip through some of the characters. At this point, we're starting to think about Zathrian is the leader of this particular Dalish clan, sort of throwing around ideas for. He's a man who apparently, according to what you've seen, he's lived for hundreds of years and has maybe learned to, he's recaptured that elven immortality that was lost long ago, and the Dalish sort of revere him for it. Some concepts we're coming up with. Swift Runner, we sort of think, what kind of enemies are we going to deal with here? We thought, okay, we have werewolves. Let's have this forest that they're in is full of werewolves. And when the Dalish clan was passing through, they were attacked by werewolves. They would help you, but the Dalish clan was attacked, and a lot of these people their people are injured and are suffering from the lycanthropy, and it's threatening to turn them into werewolves themselves, and so they're suffering. And the only way that they can help you is if you help them. If you find this Swift Runner and if you break the werewolf curse. Then they will help you. That's the initial sort of plot that's being offered to you. And then after we were talking about it some more, we thought, okay, the werewolves, here's the sort of the snag there. The lady of the forest, you discover, is this, it's a twist on a dryad. She is a forest spirit who sort of is leading these werewolves, and she feels pity for them. And so she has sort of taught them how to overcome their savage nature. They're still savage beasts, but they sort of, through her guidance, have sort of reclaimed a bit of that intelligence. And that's where they got to the point where they sort of, you start to learn, like, well, why Are they attacking in the Dalish then? Where does this resentment come from? And so we sort of got the plot sort of mapped out. You have to go through the werewolves to find the Lady of the Forest and sort of learn what the secret is here. So at that point, we're sort of breaking it down. We're creating maps. You saw some earlier ones that were hand-drawn. They get much more detailed than that. Visio is a great thing. Just going through some general quest design stuff. Followers make excellent ciphers simply because it's a way to make the player care about the plot. These are the characters that spend a lot of time with the player. So the player starts to care about them. Therefore, when they care about what's happening in the plot, the player will care too. It's one little trick. Romance. I found these online. It would be easy for us to say, this is just some crazy people. So the fans that are on the fringe, that do fan art. These are from KOTOR actually. That's Bashla and Karth. However, romance is a way to get an emotional reaction from the player. There are some players. There's a group of female players actually that still to this day are Bioware fans. And when I talk to them about why they're so invested, they're like, well, you know what, I never played these kinds of games before. I got into it because suddenly I could play a female character, and there was a male character who I was able to romance, and I felt a real strong connection to this character, and I felt like I, as a female player, was being catered to. And that's what made me a Bioware fan. And so we've sort of kept doing that, and it would be really easy to write this off. But the truth is, if you can get an emotional reaction of that kind of level, why wouldn't you go for it? Why wouldn't you look at romance? I mean, there are other emotional reactions you can get. This is just one. However, don't knock it. When we first put it into BG2, we sort of put it in sort of as a, well, let's try it. Let's give it a shot. And it's one of the things that the players, the fans, talked about forever, and still continue to talk about. And that's something you can't ignore. Audio. It's not tertiary. And I come from a background where my first initial reaction was VO, audio, not important. But the more I deal with it, the more I learn that exactly what it can provide you. Right now, we comment every single line of dialogue in terms of instructions to the actor, instructions to the VO director, understanding what the requirements of the actor, what they need to know in order to deliver the line is going to give you that much more performance. Thinking about the volume levels they need to achieve, the motivation sometimes behind the line. If there's no temptation to do something wrong, there's no reward in doing it right. That's sort of one of the philosophies we did in putting a lot of the quests into the game. Just sort of making the other side the wrong, and this is very subjective, of course, doing something else very attractive, giving good, solid reasons for doing both things. Random rank or beast. I would go into this, but apparently I don't have any time. So, in short, there was a time in Knights of the Republic when we had a Rancor who was supposed to be indefeatable. The player was supposed to fight him, and it was not supposed to be able to beat him. It was supposed to be you do a quest in order to kill the Rancor beast, and it involved taking a grenade and putting it in the Rancor food. However, QA couldn't figure it out, and I kept getting responses back saying, I keep fighting this Rancor beast, I keep fighting him, and I can't defeat him. Like, what is the problem? You have to lower the difficulty. I'm like, you guys aren't getting it. And I got so frustrated finally one day, for exactly one day in development, there was a lever in the room right before the Rancor beast that said, kill Rancor. And the designer came to me and said, that's very funny. But the point is that, we did not indicate very well to the player that the Rancor was undefeatable. He wasn't very big. The player just, oh, cool monster, ran up. Why wouldn't he? For me to think that the player's an idiot because he ran up and fought this neat-looking creature, that's bad designer. And also the fact that prior to that particular plot, the player had never, even though the capability was there, the player had never had to take an object and put it into a container. It was always the other way around. Yet, in my assumption, I thought, well, why wouldn't the player think that he could do that? But I didn't teach the player that. We didn't have any kind of tutorial. We didn't have anything that said that to the player that this might even be a requirement. Our QA people didn't think of it either, and they're the experienced players. So, two good lessons in one thing. Choices. I just I like the